Hello everyone, welcome to the channel where we dive deep into relationships, love, marriage and everything in between. In today's episode, I'm going to be talking about something real, that is therapy. Have you ever wondered about how couples react during therapy? That is what I'm going to be enlightening you guys on today's episode. It is going to be relatable, it is going to be real. Let's dive in. But before we dive into what we have for today's episode, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Also like and comment on my videos as well. Thank you so much for that. So how do couples react during therapy? Firstly, the first sessions are always awkward. Yes, so most couples come in so nervous. They're unsure of what to expect. You know that feeling that you get when you're going on a date for the very first time? That level of nervousness, that is what most couples feel. More like a first date feeling with emotions on the line. That is when couples enter into that therapy session, they feel awkward. They feel like, why would I be telling a total stranger my problem, seeking advice from a total stranger? That feeling they get about not being sure what to say and what not to say, how to feel with their emotions on the line. That kind of feeling, that is what most of them feel. There's always a first time for everything. So that first time is usually really awkward, but with time they always they get used to it and be able to open up to the therapist. It is during therapy that the blame game begins. Yes, couples tend to point fingers at each other during therapy. Do you see a lot of it's me, it's not me, it's him, it's her, it's them, all of those things, pushing blames, pointing fingers and all of that. It is during therapy. If they did not go for that therapy, for example, and they were just at home, they might not have the mind or just that feeling to begin to the opportunity to actually tell their partner what they really want to say. But during therapy session, they are able to open up and tell their partner things they didn't want, things they couldn't say. They are able to open up, but sometimes they tend to now shift the blame and begin to accuse each other of who actually caused the issue they are having in that relationship, in that marriage. That is how most couples react during therapy. Tears and outbursts happens during therapy. Yes, therapy opens up years of buried emotions, of buried grudges. And sometimes these emotions tends to overflow and comes in various forms depending on their personality, depending on the couples. Sometimes it comes in form of shedding tears, especially the ladies. Even men cry during therapy sessions, I'm telling you. Because those emotions, there are some things that when you hear about your partner during therapy, you just burst out into tears and start crying. Be it a man, be it a woman. Couples cry during therapy. Sometimes it can also come in form of raising voices. There are some times when they begin to open up to the therapist and they end up shouting at each other. You see the therapist trying to calm them down. It happens to a lot of couples. When they get there and they begin to say their minds, before you know it, the other person is already reacting, the other person is angry, and they are raising their voices. Now, thirdly, it also comes in form of complete shutdown. There are some secrets that when you hear about your partner during therapy, that you just feel so shocked that you can't even say anything. It happens to so many couples as well. Complete shutdown. Like, they will not even be able to say anything. To just be quiet. Staring at the therapist, staring at their partner. Complete shutdown. It happens to so many couples. So, the outburst comes in various forms, depending on the person's personality and depending on how they react during such situations. That is what happens during therapy. During therapy sessions, one of the couples usually goes silent. Yes, sometimes due to secrets that are poured out, things that couples say to each other during these therapy sessions, sometimes one of them tend to just go silent, just clamp up during the sessions. Not that they don't care about the session anymore, they don't care about settling things with their partner, but because they are overwhelmed with emotions. When things begin to pour out like this, secrets, things that you never thought will happen in your marriage, when they begin to pour out like this from your partner, or your partner is just reacting in a way that you never imagined, sometimes you just tend to just go silent. And sometimes, because you're not able to really say what is in your mind, like everything is you're just trying to bottle everything up in your mind, it makes some couples actually go silent during therapy sessions. That is what happens to couples during therapy. During therapy sessions, so many shocking truths emerge. This is very, very common during therapy sessions with us. Many couples now realize how their partner really, really feels. And you see them asking their partner questions. So this is how you felt all along? My dear, yes. That's why therapy is very, very good. It has helped a lot of couples, and it's still helping so many couples. It is during these sessions that the both of you say your mind, pour it all out. It is during these therapy sessions that a lot of couples actually discover what really was the problem. So when they begin to hear those shocking truths, those secrets from their partner, they now understand each other more. They now understand the root of that problem. They now understand the emotions of their partner, what actually made their partner to be reacting the way he or she has been reacting all along. It is during these therapy sessions that couple tend to find all of these things out about themselves, about their emotions. That is what happens during therapy. During therapy, defensive walls go up. Especially in the early sessions of that therapy, couples tend to get defensive, which is usually normal. You know how human beings can be. Yes, because nobody wants to be the bad guy in front of the stranger, in front of the therapist who happens to be a stranger. So everybody will try to say their own part of the story in their own favor. So the defensive part is usually very, very normal, very, very common among couples during therapy. They always want to make themselves look right, look innocent during therapy sessions, so that it will not look as if it's their fault. Each of them like to say things in their own favor so that they will not look like the ones at fault. During therapy, the aha moment happens. You know that feeling when you are expecting something to happen and it just clicks and just be like, aha, it has happened. It happens during therapy. With all the outbursts and everything, there will just come a time during that therapy session when the communication will just click. Everything begins to flow well between the two couples during that therapy session, and the therapist, you just be like, aha, I've gotten what I've wanted. The communication is now flowing well. The breakthrough is now happening, and that is the beautiful part of therapy sessions. During therapy sessions, couples tend to have that feeling of being heard. Yes, and communication is very important. So once that communication clicks and they're able to talk and listen to each other, you will see sometimes couples tend to make statements like, oh my God, this is the first time I felt being heard in this marriage. And that statement alone can heal so much in that marriage. So it's very important that communication flows between the both of them. Because once that there is that communication flow and they're able to talk and listen as well to each other, then it is already a success. During therapy, couples tend to have resistance to change. Change is not easy, but it is very necessary. And you also need to understand that change is a process. Let's be honest, changing habits is actually hard. So during that therapy sessions where couples now need to change, need to adjust their habits, their character, for their relationship and marriage to become a better one, they experience some pushbacks. But those pushbacks is actually part of the success and the progress of the healing process of that marriage, which is also a success of that therapy session. So it happens a lot during therapy. During therapy, jealousy gets real. Yes, therapy treats a lot of hard stuff. They don't skip the hard parts. In fact, it's that hard part that is even the main thing. It's the main thing that needs to be handled in that marriage, in that relationship. So they treat and handle topics like cheating, exes, feeling ignored in marriage, and all of that. It's very, very important. It's all part of the therapy session. So during this session, when they are treating topics like this, jealousy sets in. It gets real. That is where they get to open up and say a lot of things they've been keeping from their partner, the grudges and everything. So it is normal that couples tend to feel jealous, and whatever it is they feel for each other during those sessions, it now gets real when they get to the hard part of those therapy sessions. Love is rekindled during therapy. Believe it or not, a lot of couples rediscover themselves. They rediscover the spark in their marriage once those mighty walls that is causing issues in their marriage comes down. Those walls of jealousy, grudges, malice, cheating, exes, all those things that has been causing problems in their marriage, once those things are settled, couples rediscover themselves during therapy. That is why communication is very, very important. Without that communication, they cannot resolve those things in between them. And it is those things that is causing issues in their marriage that needs to be removed before their love can be rekindled. And that is what happens during therapy sessions. Therapist as referee happens during therapy sessions. You see a lot of couples expecting the therapist to play judge and jury, but they don't understand that is not actually how it works. They eventually understand that therapist is actually there to help them open up to each other, to help them rediscover themselves, to help them find out what is really going on, what is actually causing all these issues. Because most times, if they are just doing it just the both of them, depending on the case, there are serious cases the way they need someone to come in, and that is what the therapist does. Yes, it helps them be able to have smooth communication, avoid the outbursts, even though the outburst happens during therapy sessions, but with time their communication gets better, and they're able to open up and rediscover each other, and before you know it, that problem is over. So that is what the therapist does. But sometimes during therapy sessions, couples expect the therapist to be picking sides and looking for who will win. It's not about winning. It's about settling that issue and for both of them to win together, not for one person to win and the other person to be the loser. No, but it happens during therapy sessions. Accountability grows during therapy. Yes, during therapy, we often hear healthy couples say and realize that this is actually where they went wrong. And that is what the therapy sessions is actually for. That is the goal, for them to rediscover each other, for them to realize what really happened. Because for them to be there, it means one person must have done something wrong, if not the both of them. You understand? So it is those therapy sessions that help them to actually realize, oh yes, this is actually where I went wrong. This is actually what I said that caused the problem. This is actually what I did that caused this issue. This is actually where I went wrong. And they realize this thing. These are the parts where they actually rediscover themselves, and this is the signs of progress, that therapy sessions is actually in progress. Yes, where they actually realize their fault. Because at the beginning, it's not like that. They are still pointing fingers, doing the blame game. But with time, you see them accepting their faults, realizing their mistakes. That is what happens during therapy sessions. Humor is used as a shield during therapy. This humor of a thing is more like a double-edged sword. So, in as much as it is used to lighten the mood, it is also used to dodge the truth as well during therapy. When some therapists see that things are not going well and everybody just being uptight, being moody, acting strange, and all of that, because of sometimes their first time, sometimes after an outburst, you see therapists trying to crack joke to lighten the mood of the couples. It helps a lot actually. Imagine trying to make two people that are very angry at each other laugh in the same space. So it is very, very important. It's good. It helps the therapy sessions to go better. Gender and culture clashes happens during therapy as well. Yes, The traditional beliefs and the cultural roles, they get clashed during therapy. Deeper vulnerability actually happens during therapy sessions. The real magic is actually when couples now drop all the acts and show their real selves. Maybe at the early sessions of that therapy, they were not willing to open up. Some of them can be stubborn, uptight, putting up like a lackadaisical attitude, like they don't want to open up, they don't want to even be involved in therapy sessions, more like they are being forced. All those acts, even the outbursts, the rage, pointing fingers, the blame game, all those things. When the real magic actually happens, when it now finally sets in during that therapy session, they show their real selves. They are now overwhelmed by emotions. They are now willing to open up, willing to do what it takes to make the marriage work, to get better, get back with their partner. They are now willing, more willing now to be serious with the therapy sessions. It happens a lot. So the beginning of therapy sessions is actually the hardest. But with time, over time, couples tends to change, they drop all those acts and they get better. And the therapy sessions also get better. That is when the real magic happens. That is when the progress of those sessions actually begin. Homework gets done or gets ignored during therapy. Yes, therapists often give couples tools, advice for them to utilize at home. Now, some couples do it, some couples don't do it. They don't take those advice. You see couples, they'll be crying to the therapist that they need solution for their marriage and all of that. But when they give them advice, when they tell them what to do, some couples do not do it. They go home and keep repeating the same thing they were doing that has been causing problem in their marriage. So during therapy sessions, a lot of couples don't keep to instructions given by the therapist, but they still want positive results, which is really bad. So some couples take those advice, they do what they are told, while some do not. It happens a lot during therapy sessions. During therapy sessions, couples usually have this quick fix meet. Yes, they want fast solutions, but they fail to understand that relationships don't heal overnight. And that's what a lot of couples do. They will come to a therapist today and they want their marriage to start working by the very next day. But it doesn't happen like that, please. It takes time, especially those couples that have serious issues, like where their own is so bad that they're already divorced, or like the case is very, very serious, or what caused the divorce is a very, very serious case. It takes time, but most of them don't understand that. Therapy helps to reveal which of the couple is dominating, controlling, and emotional distance. And that is the eye-opener during therapy sessions. And finally, for today's episode, respect is rebuilt during therapy sessions. Yes, with patience and effort, co-effort from both couples, many couples finally have this mutual respect and empathy for each other. And that is the sign that therapy session was actually indeed a progress. So whether you're considering therapy as a married man, as a married woman, or you're just curious about how couples react during therapy, you need to understand that these reactions are normal. Yes, because growth is not easy at all, but indeed it is worth it. So that is all for today's episode. If you found today's video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe for more relationship wisdom, and do not forget to drop in your comments. I would love to also ask, before we close up for today, would you ever try couples therapy? Or what do you think about couples therapy? I will be in the comment section waiting for your answers. So thank you so much for watching my video today. See you in another episode.